good.
All right, I'm calling the meeting to order. Please join me in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take a moment of silence to remember the service and sacrifice of the armed service members who protect our nation and the first responders who protect our neighborhoods. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly?
Here.
Councilmember Quinn?
Here.
Councilmember Freelander?
Here.
Councilmember Chris?
Here.
Councilmember Salberg?
Here.
Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Councilmember Moon?
Here.
Vice President Sackett? President Jackson?
This meeting was advertised in the Daily Record and the Star Ledger, the official newspapers for the Township of Rockaway, on June 8th, 2020. Notice was posted on the official bulletin boards of Rockaway Township. I'm going to start the meeting with the open to the public session. Mrs. Seeger, did we get any emails today? Is that your Barbara?
Let me check.
Can you see, Chrissy, if there's any guests on the call?
Yes, I have Jeff Heinzelman, who did tell me that he did not wish to speak tonight, so we're going to skip over Jeff. I have Lily Sweet. Lily, can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Sweet?
Well, I have something to say.
Okay.
Just state your name and address for me, please.
Lily Sweet, 1 Oakland Avenue.
Thank you.
The committee of the Rockaways for the gazebo has now officially canceled the 2020 concerts. It was a heartbreak to do it, but we did. However, everybody that we signed up for this year, we will have for the following year.
Well, that's sad news. Well, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, we worked hard. We waited to the last second. Because of Park Lakes, it's very, very difficult to have anybody spread out if you have about 200-300 people come.
Right.
And if you know Park Lakes, at
Yep.
the beginning of the concert on the right, they sit next to each other on top of each other. Right.
Yep. Well, thanks for that information. Sorry to hear it. Do you have any questions about the resolution we're going to discuss tonight?
Not at all.
Okay. Chrissy, is there anybody else?
Yes. I have Lisa Salberg. Do you wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Okay. I have Pat Degnan. Ms. Degnan, did you wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Okay. I have Ron Cleveland. Did you wish to speak?
No.
All right, thank you.
And I have nobody sent any questions in, Council President.
Thank you. Anybody
All
else,
right.
Chrissy?
Nope, we're done.
Okay, with that, I'm going to close the open to public. I'm going to move to Resolution R20-100, resolution implementing the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order 150 regarding the temporary conditional reopening of retail establishments in Rockaway Township pursuant to township permitting requirements. And before we get into, could I have a motion for that?
Can we recognize Council President? Just for discussion.
We're going to have discussion, but let's make a motion first. Go ahead. Who made the motion? Mr. Quinn. Who else second?
I'll second it. You hear me?
Yep. Manny seconded. Okay, now we'll open it for discussion. So go ahead, Mr. Kelly.
I have a couple of questions that are on there. I'll try to make it pretty quick. There are a few, and hopefully it's going to be painless for the members of the governing body and the public. One thing is that I don't know this question or the answer to the question. How many food and beverage establishments could be affected by this? Do we know that number by chance?
I would look to the administration or somebody for that answer.
I do not know. This is Pat. I do not know how many food establishments there are.
Maybe Mrs. Ferrante may know, since it's under her purview with the permits.
Can I jump in on this for a moment? I might help you out a little bit.
I just need a number.
Well, I'm going to try to help you out a little bit on this. Chrissy, how many liquor licenses do we have in town that would be related to?
We currently have 17 consumption licenses, but not all of them serve food. I mean, the liquor licenses, I believe, are impacted by this executive order as well. And again, there would be 17 liquor licensees.
This is a combination of food and beverage, though. So, I mean, it wouldn't go under consumption.
Correct. So if we're looking at this with it encompasses, so we're looking at potentially at most for what concerning liquor licenses, 17. As far as individual food establishments, I couldn't give you a number offhand.
Okay.
I can tell you this just to shed a little bit more clarity on it. That so far, only one restaurant has reached out to us in regard to this. As of this morning, as of when I had spoken to the clerk this morning.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how many know that was going to be a question too, because I also have concerns with that, Mr. Mayor. Regarding that information, we have, Mrs. Clipperton, licenses that are going to be up for renewal shortly, correct?
Yeah.
And have we received any of those renewals currently?
We are getting them in, yes. I've received one for Durania Park, one for Marcella Community Center. And I have had many others reach out to me, but we have not received their renewal fees yet, but many have applied.
Those two that you're talking about are only club licenses, right?
No, German consumption license.
I need to say something. Licenses have been extended to September 30th. They don't have to apply till later.
Okay, so that's going to be the one bypass on that. The other thing is with the permit process that we have here under this new COVID temporary outdoor dining, is there an actual required physical inspection by our personnel of the premises?
We have set up a protocol if this goes through. If someone applies for outdoor dining, various departments are going to take a look at they're going to submit a application to the town. And if, like I said, if the council chooses to follow through on the resolution and enact it, what's going to happen is there's going to be a plan that's we have a plan in place that the applicant's going to apply to the town, and there's going to be a host of department heads that are going to take a look at the application, zoning.
You know what? Let me just clarify so I can make it quick, Mr. Mayor. Do they have to, or do they perform a physical inspection of the location in question for the application? It's just a yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. And we have 5 components for that process. We have zoning, we have health, we have engineering, we have construction, and we have police and fire director. I'm sorry, we have 6 actually. That's accurate, right?
But what's the concern? I'm trying to help you out. So
I know I'm going to get there though, but we have 6 officials or department heads that are going to physically review these sites as well as doing the admin on these permits. We're waiving the fee. We're having the time and efforts of each one of these departments to do that. And though I would like to have an expedited permit process for each business that makes the application, but don't you believe that we should have maybe somewhat of a small fee to cover the cost of the admin? The state has a $75 fee. Because all of that effort from each one of those personnel that we listed on the second page of the permit, the taxpayers are actually paying for that service, when it's really the recipient of the approval of the permit that benefits from it. So I was just wondering if there's any possibility that we can maybe add a small fee to cover some costs that we're going to incur from this application process.
I certainly don't want to impose any other fees because I don't know how many at this point. I don't think we're going to have a deluge of restaurants and establishments that are going to come out of the woodwork where it's going to absorb a lot of our time. I think it would be in the spirit of cooperation to try to get our businesses up and running and to get some of our employees that are local folks who live in town, who generally, or would be residents who would work establishments up and running without, they've, taken the local businesses, I think, have taken enough of a hit that they don't need additional fees from us.
So it's the same thing falls for the taxpayer too. So I understand your position on that, but the taxpayers take a hit as well. And I was just trying to see if there was the state recognizes the same, I'm sure, but has a small monetary fee for the efforts that's there.
Point well taken.
Following that comment, Mr. Mayor, when we go through this process that we have for these inspections and reviewing of the application, we do have, I believe, one of those officials that's part-time and usually only 1, maybe 2 days a week, which is the zoning officer. Is there a way that we can implement the process so that it doesn't have 3 days or 4 days of delay because of the unavailability of that individual?
I don't think there's going to be any delays. I don't see any delays happening. I understand that you want to anticipate problems that may occur, but some of these problems may not occur. It's new. We're going to have to do the best we can to get the process expedited, and we've talked about that, the administration, about moving this forward. We're going to do our best. I can tell you that. It's not a one size fits all approach. Each business is different. Each location is different. So there's going to be different criteria for different locations. We're going to do our best to expedite things. So I don't believe that there's going to be a problem. If there is one, we will adjust and do what's needed.
Yeah, like I said, if an applicant came in on a Friday, we know that the zoning officer is not there until that following Tuesday, and that person's going to be potentially delayed of making an application to the state for the approval to open.
Listen, we'll take all your suggestions into consideration when the administration is putting this into effect.
Now, the other thing that I have here, Mr. Mayor, is the executive order 150 on page 7, number 5, and the actual order in its entirety. It doesn't really make any recommendations or direction that we have to provide a resolution or create a resolution for the state. It does say that, the authority can continue to do what they need to do in order to move forward for this COVID temporary permit. We took almost, it's after business today, so it's 8 days to get this going, where there's probably no possibility of somebody really opening up on Monday at 6 a.m. Or do you see different?
I think that what we're here for tonight is, as a group, to come together and to try to get things in line with this resolution so it makes Rockaway Township able to put a plan in place. So I don't understand, what the concern is.
Well, no, did we need to go through this where people could have made the application to the state and to the town officials? Because under Executive Order 150, it doesn't indicate the need for a resolution like it did in Executive Order 130.
That's not correct, Mr. President.
Well, Mr. Yatrofano, I don't see where it says the requirement of a resolution. However,
Is this a debate? I'm going to inject here. Is this a debate? We can either vote on this
No, it's not a debate. It's not a debate.
about the validity of the resolution or not. I mean, that's not what we're here for.
I understand that.
It's not what we're
Mr.
here
Mayor,
for.
what I'm trying to do
It's not what we're going to do tonight.
Mr. Mayor, if I can
Forth.
complete,
The
Mr. Mayor,
administration's not going to go back and forth.
I appreciate it. Mr. Mayor, if I can just continue, I'm almost wrapped up. With the application, since under SR 10/2020, does a resolution go down along with the application from the township to the state?
Why do you ask that question?
Well, when you look
What
at
does it achieve by I don't have the answer to that. Maybe our administration will, maybe the clerk will.
Isn't that
germane to this?
Isn't that related to the liquor license?
Yes.
And that has nothing to do with the outdoor dining.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. How is that question germane to what we're trying to do?
I believe it says with liquor licenses and outdoor dining combined, what it indicates under that directive.
Okay,
Mayor,
it's an
I can handle
administrative
that.
function. It's an administrative function, and if it needs to get fleshed out and done in a certain manner, we'll do that.
Chrissy wants to answer that.
So liquor licensees apply for the expansion of premises permit through the ABC. The ABC doesn't necessarily get a copy of our permit application. However, when I go to endorse their expansion of premises permit through the ABC, I impose special conditions that they must apply through the town and obtain this temporary outdoor dining permit in order to actually serve food outdoors. Does that answer your question?
Well, I'm looking under the review procedure under page 4 of SR 2020-10. And it says whether the license is municipality issued or state issued. And then it goes over, the division will not take action on the application until it receives an endorsement or approval by the appropriate governing body officials.
That is specifically for the expansion of premises permit, not our application.
I was on
Specifically a state's application.
Wait, Ms. Seeger, hold on. We're here today to vote on a resolution.
No, I understand that, but all these components are part of the resolution, Mr. Mayor.
I'm speaking right now, please, I have the floor.
I didn't yield the floor to you. I'm sorry.
If it's defective, if the resolution, if you feel it's defective.
You don't have to yell at me, Mr. Mayor. We're fine.
Don't vote for it if you feel it's defective.
Let's vote. 20 minutes. Come on. Let's vote.
I'm not done yet, though. I'm almost wrapped up.
To vote.
So with the process, just so that I'm clear with the process, does the applicant then make application through posse to the state? The state then issues it over to the clerk and the chief of police or his designee. And there's an approval process that goes through with this application that we're generating now with the COVID-19 extension permit. Does it then go back to the state again, or does it end here?
It ends here.
So we actually give the permit number, not the state.
Correct. For
Okay.
for the outdoor dining permit, not the expansion of premises.
Okay. But again, I just think it just takes a lot of time that we could have maybe started this process much sooner than only giving 2 days possibility of people opening. I don't know what's so funny, Mr. Yachafano.
Because what you're saying, Mr. Kelly, is foolish. That's what's so funny.
You don't have to treat me horrible, mister. Don't forget, I'm your client, Mr. Yachafano.
You're not, Mr. Kelly.
My last thing is, since there's a lot of effort that went into this whole entire thing, would our town attorneys, Mr. Perone and Mr. Yachafano, be willing to waive the cost, the legal cost of assembling this resolution to offset even further costs to the taxpayers?
Listen, let's not get crazy with all of this. Let's not go beyond what we're here for. We're here to vote on a resolution. It's a special meeting. Let's stick to the agenda as we have by OFMA or by law. And if I'm incorrect, Mr. Yachafano, you can please jump in. We're here to vote on a resolution specifically. It's a special meeting. If you felt, Mr. Kelly, if you felt that this should have been done sooner, you could have reached out to the council leadership and called for your own special meeting at a faster rate or faster than I did. So it
If you read the executive order, it doesn't require it though, Mr. Mayor. That's why.
Hey, does anybody else have any questions?
I didn't yield, Mr. Jackson.
I'm asking if anybody else has any questions.
But I haven't yielded before.
How long are you going to go on for? You have anything actually relevant and important? We just want to vote.
What the questions I asked you feel they're not relevant towards this resolution that we have before us?
Not to vote on it, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll make that noted in the record, Mr. Jackson. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Council President,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, Manny.
Yeah, can I just make a comment?
I don't know. Mr. Kelly has to yield the floor for you to speak.
Is it something related to what I had questioned?
Oh, it's something that you mentioned that I just personally want to make a statement. That's all.
Go ahead, Mr. Manny. If I could follow up through to your comment, if that's all right.
No, you just mentioned that is it possible to have a fee thrown into these businesses that are applying for this application? Is that correct?
Did I ask if, I'm sorry, say that again, Mr. Freelander?
You said, can you attach, didn't you ask if it's possible a fee to these businesses that are applying for this special permit?
I said that there is a fee that's associated from the state application of $75. I also mentioned that there are 6 professionals that have to do a physical inspection of the site as well as the administrative end of it. Those efforts, which the businesses benefit from, are the ones that would be responsible for any cost that would be for that. Otherwise, the taxpayers are paying for all of that extra effort.
So to answer your question, yes.
Admin fee, like the state has applied, I asked the mayor if that was something that they entertained.
Okay, personally, you said a tax fee that would be on the business. And why have the taxpayer pay? I tell you, for 4 months, I've been doing curbside to all these restaurants to help them out and do a little better in the town does help the community.
And you know what, Mr. Freelander, I appreciate that. And those businesses are actually opening and operating to make some revenue to either cover their costs or make a potential profit. There are also over 1 million people that are unemployed that aren't working. If you remember when we voted on the Executive Order 130, the mayor said it was $25 to those individuals for a penalty of a late payment.
Nothing you're talking about, that has nothing to do with this resolution. That's all we're supposed to be talking about. So do you have any other questions? Do you have any other questions? Do you have any other questions, Mr. Kelly? Mr. Kelly, do you have any other questions as they relate to this resolution?
I did ask if Mr. Giacofano and Mr. Perone during the COVID, if they'd be willing to not fee town for those efforts for this resolution.
And that question's not getting answered. Do you have any other questions?
Oh, yes, I do. One last one. And maybe Mr. Freelander can chime in on this one too. Since we had the licenses for those businesses issued of last year through the township, and Mrs. Clipperton can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but those plenary retail consumptions are a little over $1,000.
That's correct.
And then the seasonal ones are just under 500.
Consumption is a little over 1,000. Our liquor stores, the distributions, they're I want to say between 700 and 800. Club licenses are less than $150.
Now, of course, the alcohol, the liquor stores, they weren't affected. They were still allowed to be open and operated under the executive orders. Those that were not allowed, that had paid for a license for the full year, did not get to use those that full year of that license. So roughly about 3 months, they were unable to use the license that they had paid for. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Is there any refund that they can potentially receive because of the inability to use that license that they purchased through the town?
That has nothing to do with this resolution. It just has nothing to do with it. So do you have
The
any other
resolution
questions?
is about liquor licensing.
No, that has what your question has nothing to do. Stop. Do you have any questions as they relate to this resolution? You said that was your
Resolution
last
relates to
question.
licensing and extension of a permit.
You said that was your last question.
Are you going to answer the question, please?
There's no answer. It has nothing to do with this resolution. Refunding businesses has nothing to do with this resolution. As you're stating your
Freelander just
question.
mentioned about the businesses that are there. Why wouldn't we
It
want to
doesn't
refund
matter.
them?
It has nothing to do with it.
Okay, no. What's good for the goose is good, not good for the gander. I get it.
Stop. All right,
That's not
clerk,
true. Don't
we
twist
have,
things around.
We
No
vote.
problem. I thought a refund would be
Mr.
sufficient.
Mr. Kelly said that was his last question. Please take the roll call, the vote on this.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Freelander,
Oh, yeah.
Councilmember Chris,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, 9 yeses, motion carries. That's the totality of our agenda tonight. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Manny seconded.
Oh.
Clerk, can you take the
Yeah,
roll call?
it's Regina. She is,
Councilmember Kelly?
Mary, you're speaking and you're not
I'm
on
gonna
mute.
mute her. Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Freelander,
Yes.
Councilmember Chris, Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
yes.
Vice President Sackett, President Jackson,
Yes. The meeting is now officially adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.